Hi, I'm Amy. I live in Arizona, USA.
Hola, soy Luisa. I live in the south of China.
Welcome to
to
AL
AL
Language
Language
Cafe.
Cafe.
New Year is almost here. We want to take this opportunity to wish everyone a Happy New Year.
新年快乐，万事如意，恭喜发财，红包拿来。
Wait, what does that last sentence mean?
You know exactly what it means. Hurry, give me my red envelope.
We are very excited to share with you how Chinese people celebrate New Year. We're going to talk about when and also the things that we do, such as tradition, activities, and as well as greeting phrases. And most importantly, we're going to talk about 红包, red envelopes, and how we use them. So, Luisa, a new year does not begin on January 1st for Chinese people, right?
It is actually January 1st. However, it's just like we use a different calendar system. Westerners use the Gregorian calendar, while the Chinese people use the lunar calendar. In modern China, we do use the Gregorian calendar system in our day-to-day life, but many traditional holidays still follow the lunar calendar system. For example, the Chinese New Year is January 1st based on lunar calendar system. It happens normally around the end of January or February according to Gregorian calendar. Spring also starts around this time, so that's why the Chinese New Year is also called the Spring Festival.
So, does that mean that Chinese people don't celebrate the New Year that happens on January 1st according to the Gregorian calendar?
In the past, we didn't celebrate it. Now we do. It's a legal holiday, and normally we get 3 days off.
Nice.
But during this holiday break, we don't really have any special activities or traditions. However, for the Spring Festival, which is also a legal holiday, we take 7 days off. And there are so many traditional activities and celebrations. So the Spring Festival is the really start of a new year for Chinese people in China. What about you guys? For American Chinese, which one is more important?
I think it depends on the individual and also where they live. For example, I live in Arizona. There is not a lot of Asian here. So that means for me personally, January 1st is the start of the new year. However, for people who live in a Chinese community, like in Brooklyn, New York, when I was little, I went to school there, and 30% of the school population were Asian.
Oh.
So that meant that Chinese New Year was a official holiday. So we didn't have to go to school. And also because in Brooklyn, New York, there are organizations, Chinese American or Asian associations organizations. So that means around Chinese New Year, you are going to see different Chinese New Year events and performance. For people who live in communities like that, I feel like for them, Chinese New Year is the start of a new year.
Do you still remember how you celebrated the Spring Festival when you were little in China?
Yes, I remember it very well. So I'm from Fuzhou, China. We had a very unique Chinese New Year tradition, so I remember it very well.
Okay, and do you remember hanging up the Spring Festival couplets and setting off the firecrackers?
For the Spring Festival couplets, I don't remember hanging them up myself. It just felt like one day I woke up and they were everywhere. In terms of setting off firecrackers, yes, it was one of the reasons why Chinese New Year celebration felt so lively. So yeah, I definitely remember that very well. Oh, and speaking of the Spring Festival couplets, can you tell us what they are?
Sure, the Spring Festival couplets are auspicious verses that are written in black or golden ink on red paper. We hang them up on both sides of our door.
Do people still follow this tradition?
Yes, we have already started buying the Spring Festival couplets.
What? Wow.
And started preparing for the new year.
Oh my goodness. Isn't the Spring Festival like a month away though?
No, it's just like this year, the Chinese New Year is happening earlier than usual. It's happening on January 22, and New Year's Eve is on the 21st. But some
Mm.
families will buy the Spring Festival couplets a week before the Spring Festival or even one day before the Spring Festival. We just started preparing a little bit earlier, but normally we hang them up in the morning of New Year's Eve.
So I remember when I was little, we used a Chinese calligraphy brush to write the Spring Festival couplets. Do people still do that these days?
Okay, yeah, but you know, now not everyone knows how to use a calligraphy brush.
That's true. That's true.
I think some families still write the Spring Festival couplets themselves, but we bought the
Wow.
printed ones. There are many styles, sizes, and even different fonts. Besides the Spring
Mm.
Festival couplets, we also bought the paper cutting with full character on them to hang up on our windows and doors.
So earlier you mentioned that you already bought the Spring Festival couplets.
Mhm.
Is there any chance that you bought the firecrackers and fireworks already as well?
No, unfortunately, fireworks and firecrackers are banned in many cities due to the government's policy on protecting the environment. The lack of
I
the
see.
fireworks is also why a lot of people feel like it doesn't have the same New Year's feel as before. A lot of people
Makes
a lot of people miss being able to set off fireworks and crackers. The kids of that generation had a blast during the New Year. Like me, I even burned 2 coals by accident.
Wait, you what? For real?
Yeah.
Was your mom angry with you?
No, you know the point of the New Year celebration is to bring family members together and enjoy
That's
the
true.
holiday together. So parents would avoid scolding or getting upset with the children because that would break the harmony.
Makes sense. I think that might be one of the reasons why I really like the Spring Festival.
Yeah, right? But don't you think that the most important reason is really 红包?
I think you're right. Yes, 红包 is very important. Let's talk about 红包. So 红包 is not just any kind of red envelope. We put cash in it. So parents and their families and friends, they're going to give 红包 to their children. Am I right?
Yes, look how well you remember things about 红包.
But I don't remember why it's called red envelopes.
Okay, in Chinese is 红包. Hong means red. Chinese people see red as auspicious and lucky color.
Yes.
Bao means to wrap. In ancient China, the money was wrapped in red paper. Once we started using envelopes, we started to put money in red envelopes. So now it's translated to red envelopes.
Are kids the only ones who receive red envelopes during the Spring Festival?
I think in the past, only the children received red envelopes, but nowadays many young adults give their parents red envelopes too. Besides, every region has its own customs. Take Guangdong, for example. If you are married and you are out and about in the new year and you run into some female relative or a neighbor or a friend, as long as she's not married, then you need to give her a red envelope because doing so will bring good luck to yourself.
What? Oh my goodness. So does that mean you need to prepare a lot of money, like to put in the red envelopes to give to people that you meet on the streets?
Again, it depends on the region and also the closeness of their relationship. In Guangdong, it might be 10, 20, 100, 200 RMB in red envelopes. In the north of China, it would be more. It ranges anywhere from 100 to over 1,000. It might be 200, 500, or 600 in red envelopes. In addition, now some young adults put more than several thousand in red envelopes for their parents.
Oh my goodness, that sounds really complicated.
Yes, social relationships are complicated. For a lot of people, giving red envelopes is more than an auspicious gesture. There are complicated, hidden social relationships under that gesture. Isn't it the same for Chinese Americans?
What? Wow. When I was little, I think it was just a simple gesture. And my parents didn't talk much about it either. So, but I am curious though, if you are Chinese American or if you know any Chinese Americans, I would love to know, is giving red envelopes a more than a simple gesture? And now back to Lisa. Until at the age where you had to give red envelopes to both little kids and your parents, and to make things worse, you can't even get red envelopes.
Yeah, no. You hit the nail on the head. But in my hometown in the north of China, there is a saying, as long as you are not married, then you don't have to give kids red envelopes.
Oh, let me take a guess. Is it because if you're not married, you are a kid yourself?
No, it is because once you are married, you have your own family. But if you are not married, your family consists of your parents and you. So only your parents need to give out red envelopes. However, the reality is, as I got older, the money like my mom used to put in red envelopes actually comes from me. So,
Oh my goodness. I feel like the more we talk about this, the more complicated it's getting.
yeah, you can ignore it or simply ask your mom, what you should do.
Right, I think you're right. Mom knows everything, right?
Yeah. Oh, right. Amy, did you know that we also use the digital red envelopes now?
Are you referring to the ones on WeChat?
Yes, it's very convenient. We don't have to get changed and buy red envelopes.
Is it also for environmental purpose?
I would love to say yes, but I think it's just because it's convenient.
Hey, I have an idea. Why don't we show our learners how to send a red envelope on WeChat?
Sure.
Step 1, grab your phone. Just kidding. Well, you do need your phone. Load up WeChat. Find the person you want to send the red envelope to. Press the plus button at the bottom of the screen. Tap Red Packet. Oh, red envelopes do have several names. We have been using red envelopes throughout this video, but you might hear 红包, its Chinese name, red envelopes, red packets, and lucky money. Enter the amount you want to send. Write any messages if you want. Tap Prepare Red Packet to send it. And voila, that's it.
谢谢谢谢，恭喜发财。
Lastly, why don't we share some New Year greeting phrases?
Sure. When we run into someone we know on the street, we usually say things like 过年好,新年好,新年快乐,春节快乐. Any of the phrases will work. But if it's for a formal New Year's greeting,
Wait, what? What's a formal New Year's greeting?
okay, a formal New Year's greeting happens when the clock strikes 12 on New Year's Eve. The younger generation will deliver New Year's greeting to the older generation. In my case, I will call my grandma, uncles, and aunts to wish them a Happy New Year. My mom will call her older brothers and sisters, and my nieces will call me to wish me a Happy New Year. After that, if you live in the same city as your family members, then from the first day to the fifth day of the new year is when you will actually visit them in person and wish them a Happy New Year.
Wow, my goodness, that is indeed very formal. So, how do you greet them when you see them in person?
You can say things like, Uncle, I wish you a Happy New Year and good health. Or Aunt, Happy New Year, may all go well with you.
Wow, do you have to say all the things after Happy New Year? Because I feel like besides Happy New Year, anything more than that, we only see them like on greeting cards.
Oh, it's just the tip of the iceberg. It is a lot longer in text messages. We have a lot of holiday sayings. I have never taught them, but I can easily say at least there is 100 different ones. Let me show you the ones I received last year.
Oh my goodness, that is a lot. So if our students can understand and use them, does that make them like an expert in Chinese? Right?
I think so.
Speaking of learning Chinese, we can't forget our beginners. Can we pick a phrase that they can use on either New Year What do you have in mind?
Let's use 新年快乐.
Sounds good. 新年快乐。
新年快乐，
新年快乐，
红包拿来。
你会。
对你说声新年快乐。